Hello everybody, so as you can see we're back at HQ. This car seems to be jumping, into different dimensions here, there and everywhere, but we're back. As you've just seen, I've gone through a meticulous step of just wiping the car down with our pre-production panel wipe. I won't discuss that product on this video. I don't want to ruin the surprise for you, but I did that just because I want to go through the correct steps just to make sure the coating does adhere to the paint. Again, this is completely fresh PPF. Nothing's ever been on it. It's virgin, but still, I washed it and I've degreased it just to make sure that there is no fallback, 6, 9, 10, 12 months later down the line going, oh, maybe something's happened because I didn't do X step. So that's been done. And now what we're going to move on to is the pre-production of our coating, application of our coating. Now, I'm going to proudly say this, that this has been a 5-year true on the paint development project for us. None of this, 18-month, 2-year-old company dropping 7-year coatings. Again, 1 + 1 does not up to 2 in that kind of example. So this has been on painted PPF, wrapped surfaces on many different cars. Again, as you know, we have a decent fleet of vehicles. We've got customers, we've got half PPF, full PPF, we've had it on wrapped vehicles, and we've literally applied it after the initial development and said, off you go into the wild and let's see how it performs. Now, of course, as you can imagine, PPF and paint is 2 different substrates technically. Even though you can't see that this car's been PPF'd, but they react differently. PPF is a lot more porous, it's a lot more flexible, so certain products will not work on this surface. So we knew this back from when we started developing, that we wanted an all-in-one solution rather than hitting you with 17 different variants of coatings, making your eyes go wild, looking at the shelf thinking, which one do I go for? So with this coating, again, I will not go into the schematics and the blueprint on this video, but I will explain it, very slightly so you can just get a flavor of kind of how we developed it. So we chased 3 main kind of objectives of the coating: the look, the slickness, and the thickness. Now, the thickness part is once it's removed, so not as you're applying, but once it's removed, what is the remainder of the coating on the paint? Now, we've gone through many different tests, lab tests, obviously measuring all the different kind of parameters of our testing. Now, all these 3 things we have hit and then exceeded. Now, technically, if we had dropped this, so we're in March, April now. If we had dropped this in January, so anywhere in mid-January would have been at the 5-year point. So we're just past the 5-year point now. So it's still ongoing and it will always ongo. It's still on cars that are somewhere in the country, being driven and constantly being broken. But those 3, slickness, again, very important. I always use the word slickness. The look, again, why the hell do it if it doesn't look good? You put something on and you can see no difference. What is the point? And of course, the thickness. Now, have you noticed I didn't mention the word durability yet? That will come in a dedicated product video. The durability is very interesting, and we have gone down a completely unique way of raw material blending of the coating. So the moment of truth has come. Development coating on our brand new 911 GTS. It's the first time for me personally, one of our cars, to have PPF everywhere. I think the only part that's not PPF'd is the roof, obviously because it's glass, but everything, this has had full coverage of PPF. Everything's been done. And this, again, this will be the final cherry on the top. The car's very sticky. It's horrific, honestly. I'm not going to go rubber on it. I could. It's Expert Ultimate, so obviously it's got self-healing properties to it. But the car it's just awful. I've gone back through wiping the panel wipe on it, and the towels are sticking, they're dragging. It's horrific. And then also on the conclusion of this series, we'll be trying a version 2. This is a very loose kind of thing for me, but a version 2 of the Glass Plus. Now this windscreen is also PPF'd. Now the version 2 goes down a completely different, again, won't ruin the surprise, but it goes down a completely different chemical path. And I'm one of these people, unless you're changing something for a very, very good reason and not for a buzzword, then I can look at it. If we're changing something where it actually adds more problem to you, as in whether it's application or cure times, and realistically you get maybe 2 to 4 months extra durability, I'll kind of straight on the head. But again, as I said, we always test on our cars first, so that will obviously be on there. We've got 3 different glass products at the same time in development, and I'm going to put all 3 on the different sides of the glass, because each panel kind of is different and they get different exposure, different surface, obviously PPF. Some is PPF, some is glass, because there's no point PPF in this. And it'll hopefully give me and you a good look at what's kind of in the works. Now again, with this coating, what we have gone for as well, just to give as much cross compatibility as humanly possible. Of course, you can't make a one stop for every material on this planet. That's just impossible. But what we have done for is the actual thickness part of the coating that I described to you. This is a flexible coating. Now everything moves under heat and cold. It shrinks and it expands. Now look at that. So whether you're putting it on paint, whether you're putting it on PPF, wraps, everything will eventually have to expand and contract. So this was one of our biggest chase points. Now these are my perfectly imperfect interior towels. We're not even putting them on that section, so I know that they're going to go straight in the bin. So I thought, why not use these before they go in the bin? Oh, this is just heaven. Whew. Nice. Now the slickness is great from the kind of the get-go, but the advantage of this over the next 36, 38 hours, now I've chosen a random number, that's where we noticed it, of course, with proper testing. This just gets, it just looks different. A day and a half later, it's a different car. Oh yeah. So you know, with some coatings, like you'll put them on and they will feel slick. You come back to them and you know, there's probably like a 5 to 10% chance of a difference. Whereas with this, like, look, I know exactly where I've gone. Now with this coating, it just gets slicker and slicker. Ooh, beautiful. Now right now my conditions in here are, I'm at 24 degrees, but I'm on a dehumidifier setting on the temperature controller in this unit. So that's potentially pulling out any moisture that's in the air. Now there's, if you've got a keen eye, you will see that I'm using one of our applicators. Now this is for the reason is, again, I've washed them out the pack, I've let them dry, I've then very lightly tumble dried them on a cool setting. Now I've done this because this car has a lot of curvature, and I just like the fact that I'm going to squeeze this, like perfect example where I'm going now. There's a little bit of curvature and I just want to not kind of like skip over certain parts. over the badge, of course. Want to protect that. Now look, I mean, I've just gone away to get a drink. It's been around what, 120 seconds? Oh yeah. It's like we're moving a wax. Now this is going to look beautiful. Now again, same thing like with painted cars. Right now, I am not technically working with clear. I'm working with a clear wrap. So this will enhance the look of the clear wrap because again, you do lose a little bit of, say, clarity because you're basically putting a plastic bag over your car. But to counteract this, this will look beautiful. And you're enhancing the PPF kind of color and, well, not the color of the PPF, but the color of the car underneath. Now, technically, this is a paint coating, so I am committing the sin if this was something that I didn't know the chemistry of, but because luckily I know what this is and what it's capable of, I'm putting a paint coating on PPF. Now, don't get me wrong, fully flattened, organic, you know, normal paint, not organic, but you know what I mean, like no trickery involved. This is going to hold a lot longer on paint than it is on PPF. So without spoiling the surprise, I know exactly how long this will last on this and how long it will last on, say, another car that's just normally painted, normally polished, and perfectly maintained. Now I've got another sub-development product that's on the wheels. So the wheels are coated in a different technology, let's say. These were done when the car was getting wrapped. It was perfect kind of time. The car was on the ramp. We took the center locks off and just coated them there and then. But that's the thing, because as I said, normal paint, you know, let's talk in normal terms. I know 99.9% of people, I don't want to be that guy, but 99% of people will never have PPF on their cars, 100%. And I know probably a 10% contingent of our customers have PPF. So again, once again, the ball's in your court and the favour's in your court, say normal people. So this coating at heart was always designed for your traditional modern clear coats. But then I thought, what happens rather than saying have a PPF coat and have coating that lasts 1 day, 2 years, 3 years, 3.5 years, you know, why can't we develop a one-stop solution that can hit everything? And what happens while you're there? Why can't we make it heat resistant? Why can't we make it flexible enough to be put on trim, so porous trim? Why can't we put it on wheels? Now again, I respect the technology of wheel coatings, and we have got a wheel coating on the front 2 wheels of this, and the other coating that I've just mentioned to you on the back 2 wheels. Now the reason I've done what I've done is I do realize if you get down to the nitty-gritty of coatings and say other brand of coating, some stuff is not designed to be, you know, going up hundreds of degrees past its comfort point, whereas brakes do get that hot, whereas your rear boot never will. So I do understand, and this is why I'm also looking at it and looking into it. So slowly making our way around the car. Not a single panel is untouched. So this is exactly why, you know, with this applicator, if you look, you can squeeze it to anything you want. So, you know, in these lights, I've got the The special sports design lights. I believe there's, I think there's like the tail bar is different or something, but I mean, these are extremely intricate lights. And look, I'm just pinching the applicator to go into every gap. And while I'm here, so as you can see, I'm going to go into everything, including the trim. Oh, yes. So for now, it looks like as though it's being dressed. Obviously, there's a change in color, but as soon as I wipe it away, it's just going to give that OEM plus, and I mean that so lightly, you know, with the plus, like you're going to barely see that it's there, but it's doing its job. It's the most important thing. It looks factory fresh and it's doing its job. So as you can see, I'm doing much larger panels than usual, and that's because with this product of our development and manufacture, we have inbuilt one hell of a cure time. It's very nice. Obviously the conditions matter as well, don't get me wrong. You apply this in the wrong conditions, it's not going to give you the best results. But if you know what you're doing and you've got a little bit of cover over your head, you haven't got the door open as it's raining, for example, this is going to be so nice. So look at this, I'm literally just coating everything I see. So I've got my 3 towel method still. I've got my towel number 1, which is your 80% wipe towel. Now this is designed to actually level the coating / remove it and move it about as you're removing it, if that all makes sense. But basically you should have a little bit of haze left to where your towel number 2 and 3 come in, and it's as if you're wiping away a spray wax. That's how easy it is. But look, I'm just as if I'm removing it with one towel. I'm being as thorough as I can, but I also have in the back of my head not to worry, because I've got another 2 towels to come in and obviously aid me in the process. Now, if anybody, I mean, I'm sure we've all read those comments on YouTube or spoken to people saying, I'm so concerned about applying coatings and I'm going to mess it up and I'm going to end up in a body shop. All those things are possible, but that's literally if you've got the common sense of a goldfish. If you're, you know, a gentleman in the art of detailing and you know what a couple of towels means and what wiping methodically means, you'll have no problem. Now with this wipe, it's probably the most kind of thorough. I'm going to move it up and down the panel and hopefully that's going to pick it up. I mean, the pen's so clear, the camera's so sharp, it's almost too sharp. But there's a little piece here, and I've pushed product this way. So again, hopefully you can see this, and this is what a secondary towel can do. Gone. This is why towel number 1 is so important. It gets loaded up the fastest. It gets twisted, turned, whatever, folded the most, and that's to make sure towels like these, get my finger in there, towels like these don't get saturated as fast, and you're not losing these towels as often. But because I do have 97,000 of these, I don't care if I have to lose them. And with this, you're literally doing your wax on, wax off. Oh, the slickness, I'm telling you. So I've just had lunch and I went back on the bonnet with, it was both a final wipe and wax and sealant towel, and literally the difference even a couple of hours has made is unreal. Now I always say this, I know you can't see it and I know you can't feel it, but I've just got into the rear wing panel and the difference in slickness is just, it's just holding. Whereas this, whew, candy slickness. Oh yeah. I am getting a lot of static build-up though as well. I can hear it on the paint. I can feel it. Literally, it was that bad. One of the wax and sealant towels, obviously, I was shaking them out, and there was a little piece of fluff that flew here, and it just went whoosh, like this. So it doesn't help that you've got a sticky car in a brand new premises where static in general at the minute is rife. But it's only in this room, which is very strange. It's nowhere else in the building. There's like 13 rooms to this building and not a single room has static. You come in here and you start jumping around like a cockroach because everything's stinging you. Boom. And again, this is something I do. This is totally a precaution. Usually a 2-towel method is enough, but for me, I like to just take this towel and literally just give it that final loose wipe, just in case. I've got my torch on, as you could see, and just checking things. It can't harm you. Now this is the least thrown towel out the 3 because it's got nothing to absorb. The one thing, when this does get released, I really hope somebody takes it on with like 10 other coatings and just sees the difference. This is, you can just tell this is a thicker coating, even just by applying it. It's a lot more, I don't want to use the word syrupy because it's not. Obviously it's still a liquid, but even on the application, the removal, everything really. Even the way it lays, you can tell. And this is now pretty much a pre-prime pad. I was just getting a drop or two just to keep it kind of fluid and moist. If you ever wonder how hard this is, watch this. There's your level. Get those edges in. So that's leveled. This is removed. Oh. Wow, literally spray wax removal this is. I love removing that haze. Oh, look at that. And this is cross-checked. That's how you coat anything you wish, people. Gone are the days of horrible smells, sticky removal. Look at that. Last few panels left. So again, because this is a thick coating, the remainder of what is not wiped away is extremely thick. This is a 1-layer system. Now again, if you wish, you can of course apply 2 layers. I'm going to do a test. I'm going to get the front clip of this car, a 2 layer, just so I can conclude some testing, you know, all that type of stuff. But as for the remainder of the car, it is literally a 1-layer, 1-hit solution. I'm going to coat the door jambs. I'm coating everywhere, under the handles. If I could ceramic coat the cabin air, I would probably try and do that too. Now, you know my stance on coatings. I love them and I hate them at the same time. I truly believe though, and if you really know me, you would have heard me say this a million times, There is a place for coatings in this industry, and there's a place for waxes and sealants and spray sealants. The market is so vast and so big and so diverse with many different requirements. I'm sure some people watching this video will know some people who do 100 mile in a car, yeah? And some people do 100,000 mile. Now, do you use the same product on each of one of those examples? The answer is yes, you can, and no, you don't. That's the thing. People seem to get hung up. Yes, the technology is moving. You have to move with the times. I'm a very progressive person, but you also need to know that if you've got a nice garage, I mean, we have some affluent clients who've got places 300 times the size of this as their personal garage, and they want to go and drink wine, champagne, whatever, and wax their car or coat their car. There's literally a market for everybody. And I say this because you'll probably hear, you know, people out there saying, oh, I can't do coatings because of X. Or I think they're Y because you've seen something, you know, or Z, you know, I'm just naming random letters now in the alphabet. There's always a reason why people say I won't use X product, or why they will only use X product. But I'm telling you, from somebody who's got a collection of test products the size of reseller shops, there's a place for everything. And it just so happens to be that this car is going to get this, you know, this is the protection package of choice. Many reasons for this. In fact, let's talk about that. That'd be interesting. Why do we go for PPF over anything else? Why don't we just use a £300 pot wax every single week? Who cares about the durability, you know, that type of stuff. Potentially, I want to see where the market goes. I mean, the term on this car is long enough to see where the market goes next. And the reason I say that is, you know, if it goes really badly, you know, for, say, obviously we know that the sale of brand new electric cars is at 2025, 2030, something like that. It's completely ceased, so the second-hand car market's going to be beautiful, of course. But then what happens if that said technology is kind of moving really badly out the way, and like cars become literally just ridiculously bad hybrids? I might keep this. This is, as we stand, I believe, 99% sure of this. This model car, the current model, is the last fully internal combustion, so basically petrol, the last petrol 911 of the generation production. I think after that, they will start becoming, you know, in whatever split percents, 50-50, 80-20, you know, hybrids. I watched this really interesting documentary on Porsche, and I think the CEO was saying, like, by a certain date they want 70% of their sales to be EV, so electric. Which, again, we might buy one. I'm eyeing up a Taycan as well in the future. It's business friendly, as you all know. If you know, it's extremely business friendly. You can knock off basically everything off it. But I'm not ready as the main car to have EV, so this is, I mean, I feel sorry for the generation after me. You know, the kids, you know, the people who are being born now will never know what we experienced as when we were younger. So, again, as far as I know, this is the last petrol production 911 ever. I know Porsche are developing this or looking into quite far in their, obviously, development now, but I think it's synthetic fuel. Again, I've been reading that story for years. You know, I've been interested in innovation, irrespective if I own that brand of car now. But yeah, synthetic fuel, and I don't know if they do crack it and there's no stupid people in the EU who say, oh, you've got to have X legislation, because don't forget, you know, in America, it'll be very interesting to see, because the American manufacturers, are they truly going to go to hybrid on the next couple of model changes? I don't know. But because stuff like this comes from Europe, exported to America, I don't know if the American market will have to then obviously get like worse cars almost. But if this synthetic fuel works out, you never know. Everything I've just said might be right out the window, and everybody's going to continue enjoying some sort of internal combustion engine for the next 30 years, 50 years. It's not because oil is running out. It's because people want to use certain global events to their advantage and either charge more tax or push something towards their own agenda, you know, all that type of stuff. I mean, that's getting way too political. But yeah, you never know. So the reason I've gone for PPF in this car, back to the original, is, as far as I'm concerned, if everything goes well, you never know, I might keep this car for life. Now, XPEL has got a 10-year guarantee, obviously because I own this car in this example. That guarantee will probably increase a few years because I'm going to look after it. Like XPEL probably don't know exists, you know. So I might hopefully prolong the life of PPF by just being, you know, kind of open to trying new ideas and maintaining it like an anal maniac. But yeah, if I do keep this forever, in fact, if you remember, I said, I can't remember when, you're gonna have to go back through some of the videos, but I said, I think it was a few years back now, I said I watched a documentary of a guy, 911 actually, was one of them 964s, and he owned it from new, 19 whatever, 70 or 80, or whenever that model car is. And he owned it from 0 miles to now. I think he's done 700,000, something. Yeah, almost 1 million. He's going to try and hit 1 million miles in his lifetime. And I thought, that is so cool. That is literally, to me, I think that's in some ways kind of goals or cute, you know, to have a guy from a certain era, kind of like his car's his baby. Now that I find highly attractive. Last panel, baby. But yeah, this is an interesting one. I'm going to use the living hell out of this. I'm going to go to every event in the country. I've got some expanding interests in the south of the country. So again, I am going to be putting some mileage on this. I'm going to be going to car events, official Porsche events. I'm part of a very, very nice club. Been part of it since 2018. I've got a lot of friends and customers of that club. You can't get in it anymore. There's like a 1,200 person waiting list. But this is one of the cars, or the more recent cars that I've had, that has actually ignited me wanting to actually go and drive and meet people at a car meet. Because the last few cars I lost my flair for meets. I love organising my own, but going to other people's, I was like, you know, but with this, like, I'm itching. I want this to like cure super fast so I can go and drive the thing. But yeah, this is going to get a lot of use, hence why the chosen protection package. And seeing as we're getting towards the end of the panels, what I'm going to explain is how I'm going to cure this. Again, a normal person will probably not have what I'm about to say next, but if you were to follow normal guidelines, you don't wash a vehicle between 12, 24, 36, 48 hours, dependent on the manufacturer of the coating, but I'm going to tell you about mine. So I'm not going to wash this 36 hours. Well, no. Let me rephrase that. I'm going to leave this inside for 36 hours. Now that is to get that initial 45% cure, okay? At that point, it's going to be safe to be driven out and you can see rainwater. But for the next 6 days, I'm not allowed to wash the car because the coating for the last, whatever it is, 50% is organically curing in the natural air. Obviously, at this time of year, the sun will help kind of cure it off a lot faster. But basically, you've heard me say this a lot, it's the gassing off process. At that point, I am going to, again, wash the car as normal. Now, why 6 days, Nick? Why not the traditional industry standard 7? Well, it's because this formulation is different. And I have found through all the different tests that I've done, obviously in this case we've had to, in some case, expedite the testing and kill coatings on purpose. But 7 days, well, I wouldn't say too long. If you don't wash the car for 2 weeks, it helps, obviously. But it's the soonest. I wanted to find out, what is the soonest? Is it 1 day? Is it 19 days? A lot of people nowadays just like to look at what the big kind of players are doing and say, 7 days, 24 hours inside, 7 days don't wash, off you crack, you know. There's no fun in that. So what we did is we coated like 60 cars and we literally just broke it down into whatever sevenths. And certain cars we washed on day 1 after the initial cure, day 2, day 3, and we just kept maintaining the weekly wash schedule after that. And we found that 6 days is optimal. Like I said, if you drive this car out in June and it's baking hot for the next 2 weeks and you don't need to wash your car, it helps, of course. But if you're one of these people who drives out and then it rains a bit and sunny a bit and then, you know, you really want to wash your car, 6 days. And then after that, you can go hammer to the wall, wash this thing every day if you want. And that's what I'm going to do. But what I'm going to do to expedite the process is, of course, I'm going to keep this car inside for 36, but it's going to cost me a little bit of money because I'm going to have to use electric for this. But basically what I'm going to do throughout the whole process, this room is going to be not used, of course. I'm going to turn the heating on to like 26, 27 degrees 24/7 because I think the warmest it gets up to outside at the minute is 11 degrees. So I'm going to force bake the car as if I'm in the sun. I'm going to have dehumidification on, and for the next 6 days I'm going to have a sauna in here, a dehumidified sauna. There's going to be no moisture at all. The heat is going to be consistent day and night. Now technically I can probably fast cure the car in half the time, 3 days, and I can start washing it, but I'm in no rush. I think next weekend I do want to drive it, so I'm still, you know, 6 days away from then, which is when I can drive it anyway. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just bake the living hell out of this thing. If I had an oven big enough, I'd put the car in the oven. This room is going to be my oven. But yeah, I've got so many cool things. I can add water into the atmosphere. I can reduce it. I can completely eliminate it. I tried that one day. I walked in here and my throat, I don't know if you've ever been in a dehumidified room, like a proper one. And of course, this room's not airtight, but you know, you get the picture. I was about 92% there. And about 5 minutes in, my throat was chalky. You know, I wanted to drink. It felt really dry. And that's what I'm going to kind of replicate, but for a good week. And then, yeah, it's going to be driven. It's going to be washed. I can't wait. Obviously, the last wash I did on this was a hose wash because of the fresh PPF. But basically from last week, I've got 3 weeks where I can't use pressure washers. So last week's gone, this week's gone. Obviously, it's been inside just chilling. I've got another week of cure time. That's 3 weeks. I'll probably drive it for another week, hopefully, depending on the weather. If the weather's super dry, then I won't have to wash it for that week as well. So I'm looking at 4, maybe 5 weeks. And then obviously I can start foaming this thing, because the first, obviously, damage wash I did, it had the full, obviously works, but ever since then I haven't cracked out my foam cannon on this car, and I miss my foam cannon. So yeah, that's exciting. Boom, sorted. Oh. Okay, my ceramic coating friends, the entire exterior part of the body of the 911 has been coated. The front clip tomorrow is going to get a secondary coat. That's just kind of like the final test. And that's just for me type of thing. I'm not going to film that part. But on the next episode, which is the last episode, we're going to do the final bits, the final of the pretty bits. So we're going to denib the tires. We're going to coat the glass in 3 of the different new development loosely kind of products. We're going to, for the first time, heavily moisturize the rubbers, let them soak as long as possible. This is the most important treatment for the rubbers. They're completely virgin. In the 4 weeks I've owned the car and the very limited, 25-mile driving that I have done in it, and the tires have never ever been moisturized. And that's for the reason is the first time I do want to moisturize them, I'm going to put obviously a thicker coat, do all that type of stuff on. So the first one's always the most important one. I'm going to do a few on that final episode. I'm going to do a few kind of tidy ups. The interior is fresh. I wish you could smell it through the camera. You open that door, you can smell a brand new Porsche. Every car's got like a different scent to it. This, if you were to blindfold it, you could tell what car you're kind of smelling. We've got a few development products cracking off on the interior as well, a few pre-production products too on the interior, and that's going to wrap up the whole correction / protection series of the 911. As always, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you could see just how good this looks. I can't wait for you all to see it outside in its kind of true light. It looks better than it does on camera. I can see on my external screen that the difference is huge. So I hope you found it informative. Hope you found the in-between chats even more informative. And I will see you all, as always, on the next episode. Catch you soon.